I always forget something. Got to upper the volume. Uh, anyway, it's the Pledge of Allegiance.
The Pledge of Allegiance.
There you go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Yes, please.
And to the republic for which it stands.
No,
One
show up.
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Good morning to all my fellow Americans. Here once again to inform what's happening. I'm going to say hi to all my fellow members of the DAV, Disabled Americans of Chapter 11 here in the island of Puerto Rico, which I am a member of. So I'm going to go to, like I always do, requesting the freedom of Roger Stone. There's no reason why he should be in prison. You know, it's a shame that we are being practically, but instead of the Department of Justice, we've been run by the communists who have taken over the Democrat Party, no longer the Democrat Party. Here, requesting once again the freedom of Roger Stone, a man who is innocent, no reason why he should be in prison. There's the number to call, is flood that number, 202-456-1414, and request that he be freed. I mean, if there's prisoners in some states run by Democrats that are being freed, and even after being freed, murder people, why this person who has never done anything illegal, that never has violated the law, or broken the law, let me put it that way, and why is he had to be in prison? I mean, there's no reason. I mean, this guy is innocent. Not only innocent, like he was saying in an interview. I'll probably, and more likely, if I don't forget, because there's a lot of information, I'll probably show you a video where he says he's practically under a death sentence because they're freeing people due to coronavirus, and they let them stay in there in the population. You know, like they're trying to kill them. Look, there's these communists, which used to be the Democrat Party, taken over by the communists. You know, they just want to murder us. That's all they want to do. They try to pin a violation of the law, or conspiracy, or whatever, or treason against Trump, and they couldn't find anything because they were lying through their teeth. They're the ones who pinned on him what they are guilty of. They're the ones who should be in prison. The whole Democrat Party should be in prison, practically. Almost all of them. They all violated or committed treason, starting from John Kerry, Pelosi, Nadler, Adams, all of them, almost all of them. Those that haven't committed anything, that were running for the Democrat Party, they were moved aside because they were too white, or their ideas did not side with their purpose. So, you know, these people, they should be in prison. They should be in prison. You see what I did here? I almost did something. Okay, another thing I want to show is, I'm going to keep on as long as I remember, because sometimes I might forget. I think yesterday I forgot, and excuse me, if Roger Stone sees my video, excuse me, Roger Stone, I committed the mistake of not pronouncing your situation, putting forward what's happening to you. We know us true conservative and people who abide by the law and love this country and love the Constitution. No, you are innocent. So, you know, I'm not doing it because I'm trying to get fame or anything. I'm doing this because I'm not getting anything by this. I'm doing it because I think it's a moral duty. It's a moral duty of those who want to fight, who are struggling to fight for justice and our freedom, which the communists want to destroy, alias Democrat Party. No reason why Roger Stone should be in prison. We know it's a setup. They destroyed his life. They destroyed everything he had. You know, he should be found innocent so he can sue the hell out of the DNC. Or let me call it CPUSA, because no longer the DNC. They call them they call themselves the DNC. No, it's the CCP USA. No, the CP USA. Excuse me. I said CC. Okay, I'm going to show this again as long as I can remember every day because this has to be posted. This person, Jose, the leader of this, there's a small picture of him, but you can hardly see it. Jose Daniel Ferrer Garcia is what we call here. He would be like we would call here the leader, or the captain of the Salvation Army. In Cuba, the un Paco, U as in unicorn, P as N as in Nike, P as in Peter, A as in Albert, C as in Carlos, and U as in unicorn, un Paco. There's the information right here on this side here. All the information you can call if you want to donate. I have information how to who direct your donation if you decide you want to call. My number is 787-245-4118. But you don't necessarily have to call me because I'm not a big deal or anything. I just had the permission because I'm trying to help these people. And the person who doesn't want me to show, on the internet her information because she fears for her safety and her privacy and family, which I understand, told me if they call me and they decide they want to donate because they have the heart that, they want to, out of love to these fellow conservative people who want freedom for Cuba, who are going through a crisis of repression, oppression, and persecution, kidnaps, just because they're against the communists in Cuba, the communist regime of Cuba. These people are helping their people. They're helping those that are in necessity. I've seen them. I've seen the videos. The videos are in their page from Paco and in my blog. If you go to, I don't post it, and I pledge allegiance to the flag, which is one of my blogs. Remember, my name is Eduardo Rodriguez. I posted in Cuba Noticias Disidentes, which is another page that I have. Cuba Noticias Disidentes. I wouldn't say go to my blog because those who can't speak or understand Spanish, it's going to be difficult. But if you wanna, you can. Let me see any other page. But it's in Paco and Cubanet. Cubanet is another great source. But Paco, and there's Cuba, Democracia y Vida, and then there's the page of Luis Enrique Ferrer Garcia, who is the brother of Jose Daniel Ferrer Garcia, and he was coming out of Cuba, but Paco has all the videos, and Cuba Democracia y Vida. Guillermo Millán, he concentrates all the videos in one area, in one page or one YouTube page, and instead of going to each one of the videos separated, he puts them all together. Let me put it that way. I don't think I was saying it right. And you can see the videos of what's happening there. The people, the poverty, the extreme poverty. And Cubanet sometimes show such extreme poverty. And if you go to YouTube and try to look at the extreme poverty in Cuba, and you give it a like to some of these information, they'll keep sending you more and more evidence of the poverty. People live in such dire, extreme misery that their houses, it's a nightmare, a freaking nightmare. I mean, you can't shield yourself against insects, venomous insects, snakes, and all kind of insects, like you do in a well-covered wooden house or a cement house like I got. You can see it's all cement. And there's I've seen houses in wood that that are very well constructed, but over there, you see openings. I mean, these houses are made out of woods they can find, pieces of wood, sometimes barely without a ceiling. It's terrible. I've seen some of them, some of the people living in what looks like I would call a latrine. Maybe that's what they're doing. They can't afford anything else. I've seen an old couple living in what looked like a latrine. And maybe that's the reason, because they use that to sleep there. And at the same time, to do their necessities. It's terrible. It's terrible. I mean, this is the reason why I donated. You don't have to donate much. You can donate $2, $3. If you wish, it comes out of your heart, you can do that. You don't have to donate like I did. You don't have to take out a money order of $20 or I'm going to keep on pressing here so anybody who wants to write down the information. But you don't have to donate much. Like I say, $2 or $3. It don't amount to a lot, because if a lot of people send that amount, let's say of all the United States, let's say 2 million people, it amounts to a lot, $2 or $3. And in my case, I sent $20 in the money order. But remember, if you're going to send that amount and you're not going to certify it or insure the money order or the cash, remember, cover it in like 2 layers of newspaper or napkin paper or whatever you can find, that'll cover it. Make sure it has 2 layers. I tell you, because I worked in the postal service, and you have people that rob donations. They'll come up and they'll put it in the light. I saw one person do it, and I couldn't figure out later on. And then I said, "Wow, wait a minute! I saw this person. I know, and I still remember the name of the person. As a matter of fact, he tried once to rob the eyeglasses of another person. He picked it up and put them on to see, and then he looked at me that I was, he saw that I was looking at him. Then he put him down. But you got people that are disabled and terrible. They'll steal right in front of you. So like I say, be careful. If you're going to send $2 or $3, so make sure it'll get there. Cover it in newspaper. Cover it in anything. But make sure it's 2 layers, so that way if the person puts it up in the light, he can't see through it unless he's Superman. And there's nobody here that I know is Superman. So I'm going to put this aside. And let's go to the news, because there's a lot. There's a lot of information. Like I say, I prefer that a lot of you people can go into my blog. If I'm not blocked or censored, I want to try to put everything today. But if I'm blocked or I'm censored, suddenly it stops my video streaming. Go to my blog, Eduardo Rodriguez. I pledge allegiance to the flag. You'll find everything there. I mean, a whole bunch of videos, a whole bunch of information. And including an interview with Roger Stone. And one of my favorites, Mark Dice. I think there was one on Mark Dice. Let me see. Mark Dice, I love him. I mean, this guy's great. And Dr. Stevens. He's another good source. I guess the audience is going to say, oh, this guy got coronavirus. Let me tell you what I go out, I cover myself. What happened is I suffer from chronic asthma. And I got the fan hitting me over here because it gets pretty hot. And then I got this on, and it gets pretty hot because I'm not in my room. In my bedroom, I got air conditioning. But here I got to use the fan. I got 2 of them, one here on both sides, just in case. Well, when the crisis is over and my brother comes visit me, I got one for him and then one for me over here. Oh, another thing, I don't know if I should share this, anybody's interested. It's not hard. You're using these YouTube. I baked a pie, apple pie yesterday. The day before yesterday. And it came out super delicious. Super delicious. As a matter of fact, it was yesterday. That's how bad my memory is getting. And my wife loved it. She said, oh, delicious. and it's delicious. It's delicious, believe me. Anybody can do it if you follow the video. And it's like me, you suffer from chronic asthma and you can't use milk and eggs. You can do it with coconut milk. You can do it with I use cinnamon. I use Splendid, which is a diet sugar, and uh, and it came out delicious. I mean, let me tell you what, my wife won't eat everything. You know, she's a maniac, and what she's very picky, and she loved it. She told me delicious, delicious, and plus I didn't put the cover, how you call the crust on the top because it's supposed to have a cover on the top of. Oh, well, I forgot the word in English. You know, when you cover all pies, the filling, what goes on the top, the dough, help me. And you get a roller, and that I forgot. I got to get the roller. I haven't had the roller, and I didn't get the dough. But you can get it from Pillsbury, and it comes in boxes, or you can make it on your own. You have to just get the how you call the wheat, or how this white wheat to make the dough. What you use to make the dough. I'm getting these Joe Biden trees and forgetting words. So it's getting every day it gets worse. The more I age, the worse it gets. Okay, let's go to the news here. Oh, I forgot another thing I want to show. You know, those people who think Jose Marti was a communist. Listen to this. Look at what he said, and I'm going to show it to you. How will socialism come to be? No, how would it be a new slavery? He questions socialism because he read about it. This guy was a genius. Not only a genius, he was a true patriot, a hero, and a martyr. He died in combat. This man was beyond our times in thinking. This guy was great. The way he write, it was more like, let's say, like Abraham Lincoln. You know, Abraham Lincoln wrote the Gettysburg Address like in a poetic prose. Well, when he wrote, he kind of like used that type of writing, like if it wasn't in a poetic prose. So that's why when you read, at first you can't understand, but if you put your mind to it, you say, wow, it makes a lot of sense. Let me show you. I translated it in English because in Spanish is you know, it's said in Spanish, but then I translated it, and here it goes, so you can see it. The one in Spanish, I'm going to put it in the video. I'm going to make out in Spanish in a couple of, I hope maybe in an hour. Let me see if I can, okay, let me put it up a little bit. How will socialism come to okay, I can't see because I see it in reverse. If I put it this way, let me see if I can put it this way. Oh, wow, it came out. There you go. Now the whole face of Jose Marti won't come out. Let me see if I can put a little bit down. Okay, there you go. Oh no, that's Jose Marti, and that's what I translated in English. What he wrote, I found this in the pages that are dedicated to his ideas. The man was an anti-communist. It's no, and you know what's funny about it? The communists in Cuba has him like a hero, a great hero, but they're not stupid. They have him as a hero because it's to their convenience. To their convenience because they change the words, they twist it to their own advantage, to their own political fiend advantage. So you see a lot of statues, a lot of everything, you know, they're pure hypocrites. Because if he would have been alive today, they probably would have killed him. Like they did with Osvaldo Payá Sardina, Cepero, Orlando Zapata Tamayo, and many others, and Laura Poyan from the Ladies in White or Damas de Blanco. You know, these guys are evil. Communists are evil. You know, no matter how they try to disguise themselves, like Bernie Sanders, they're all evil. They're all evil. Their intentions are evil. You can see in Bernie Sanders when he talks about the wonders of being in a bread line. Oh, that's a good thing. Yeah, this guy's evil. You know, he's just as bad. What happened? He hasn't gained power, and God forbid he does, because you'll believe me, you'll regret it if you live long enough, because you'll starve millions of Americans to death. This guy is evil. And you can tell it because he defends evil. He's evil. Okay, let's go to the news. I'm going to practically just show videos because the videos speak a lot of words. I don't want to waste too much time on writings because the videos are just great. I have one here on Kamala Harris, but I'm going to go with somebody who will pinpoint her evilness. This is another evil lady. There's another one here. I'm going to pass this one, but there's more. It talks about Nancy Pelosi, but I'm going to go to another one who'll describe it. I think that's Dr. Stevens, Mark Dice, or Next News Network, one of them, which is a lot better because they're more entertaining and they're more kind of like I said, more entertaining. The way they do it, the way they do the news is just great. I love them. Okay, it says Jacksonville, Florida, to reopen its beaches tomorrow. Swim. Let me see if there's a video here on this one. There's no reason why they should be closed. They just have to use an anti-mask or conserve a distance and stop shaking hands. You know that believe it or not, if I'm not mistaken, in the United States, that was something that was created by Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was a great man, but under ignorance, he doesn't know how disgusting and hygienic is to shake hands or hug or kiss. Like a lot of women like to do that. Kiss, that should be stopped. They should do like the Japanese do. It's a lot better. It's a lot safer. It's not that you're being a vain person. No, it's that you're trying to observe a safety issue, a safety manner. Just bow or a military salute, my friend. That I learned from the old first. That's what I'm going to probably do. I probably won't do like the Japanese. I'll probably just go, good morning. All those who were in the military, and those who were in the military get used to doing that, or bow like the Japanese. It's more safer than hugging or kissing or shaking hands. I mean, you can kiss your own wife, but not go around kissing everybody. Because you don't know who got what, or shaking hands or hugging. No, stop that, and use a mask. From now on, I want to use it every day, time I go out. I don't care what time of the day, what if it's very hot outside, which will kill viruses. I don't care. I'm going to use it all the time because usually in autumn is when these viruses start developing because the air is cool and they can travel with more frequency and longer. And the heat of the summer, it kills them. It kills them. When it can melt an ice cream in seconds, imagine killing a virus. So that's why, but still, no matter how hot it gets, you use the mask. And there comes ones that are breathable, because I have one. I bought one from Amazon. And I ordered two more, one for my wife and one for myself. So we can use that. And gloves. If you can buy leather gloves, even better, because you can clean them. You can use hand sanitizer every time you're gonna go and you put it even on your gloves. My wife is a maniac. She takes it and she washes it, which is not a bad habit. But I just use sanitizer. She wasn't okay. Go ahead, wash it. But I use sanitizer on my gloves because even though it's not going to penetrate my hand, my gloves. Hey, I got it on my hands. Whatever I grab or whatever I touch. So we can use leather gloves. Are even better. They last longer. It's like a leather, pure leather strap or leather jacket. They last long. Last long. They last years. So that's why I advise buy a leather glove. That's what I want to do because I bought one from Home Depot. Looks like one of these biker gloves, but it's like an imitation of leather and it's peeling off. So I got to get me another one. Let me see if there's a video here of this one here. Oh yeah, there is a video. Let me see how long it lasts. Because if it lasts too long, okay, it's short.
Thanks for joining me. This video is to announce that as of 5 p.m. tomorrow, we will be reopening the beaches and parks throughout Duval County for essential activities only. This decision was made in collaboration with law enforcement, first responders, and the beaches mayors, Charlie Latham, Ellen Glasser, and Elaine Brown. As defined in Governor DeSantis' Executive Order 2091, essential activities include the following: participating in recreational activities consistent with social distancing guidelines, such as walking, biking, hiking, fishing, running, swimming, taking care of pets, and surfing. In addition to limits on activities, beaches will only be open from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. each morning and from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. each evening. As for city parks, they will be open for normal hours from dawn to dusk. However, public gathering locations like pavilions and picnic areas will remain closed. And very important, my executive order for social distancing guidelines that limits gatherings to fewer than 50 people still stands. For additional information and restrictions, please go to coj.net and look for this press release. Folks, this can be the beginning of the pathway back to normal life. But please respect and follow these limitations. Stay within the guidelines for your safety as well as for the safety of your neighbors. As I mentioned in this morning's press conference, the data for Duval County is encouraging. For now, we need to stay the course and continue taking precautions. We'll get back to life as we know it, but we must be patient. We're close. Thank you and have a safe weekend.
There you go. That's a great advice. But remember, use the mask and the gloves. That'll save you a lot of hazard from the police and the community. They'll feel so safer, and they won't have no reason to say, "Oh, wait a minute, this guy is violating the community standards of the rules or the laws or whatever, or the regulations." Use the mask and use the glove. That'll keep a lot of people a lot happier, and it'll save you a lot of hazard. Okay, let's go to the next one. Trump signals support for lockdown. Trump signals support for lockdown protest voters. Okay, let me go to the next one. Wait a minute. I think I missed something here. Okay, this is from Next News Network. If I'm not mistaken. Yep, Next News Network. I want to see this case here.
Okay, yep, we've got another one. Another video clip of old Joe Biden, this time getting confused by his teleprompter on live TV as Bernie Sanders looks on, completely confused as to what he's saying. Wait till you see this clip. It's only like 10 seconds. Brian, if you can cue it up, we're going to show it to our viewers today. But before we do, if this is your first time watching, I want to welcome you and I want to invite you to join the over 1.3 million people who call Next News their home for conservative news and opinion by tapping the red subscribe button down below. Just make sure you hit that notification bell. Very important. Well, let's jump into the story from the Gateway pundit. Christina Layla there reports that Joe Biden, got confused by his own teleprompter again. I will make an educator. I'll make an educator. That's what he said before correcting himself. An education that, in fact, Jill, my wife, as a professor at a community college, and is to look, though, on Bernie's face, it's priceless. Yeah, my friends, this is the best the Democrats have. Watch.
Well, I will make an education that, in fact, Jill, my wife, is a professor at community college. Well, I will make an education that, in fact, Jill, my wife, is a professor at community college.
Okay, he says, I will make an educated.
Well, I will make an education.
Bernie Sanders looks like he's going to have a stroke.
An educator in education. Oh, poor Joe. It's painful. Look at Biden's. Look at Sanders' face. He's just looking at it like, what the hell are you talking about, Joe? What the hell? Yeah, this is the best that Democrats have. It's really sad. And again, I say it's sad that they bring this guy out. But if you think about it, he's the perfect Manchurian candidate. He's the perfect candidate who will just take orders. They'll point him in the right direction. He'll just go running off, do the bidding of his masters or the special interests. I mean, he's the perfect candidate for Washington, D.C., especially with the level of corruption that he is capable of doing and just looking the other way. That's why the establishment loves him. The article goes on to state that after waiting for every candidate to drop out of the 2020 Democrat race, Obama finally endorsed Biden this week, and then Elizabeth Warren followed suit shortly thereafter. Obama said that Joe Biden, who can't even form a sentence and never knows where he is, has what it takes to guide us through one of our darkest times. What about just guiding us through the campaign trail?
I can't stop remembering the faces.
Comment below. See you at the next report.
Bernie
For the Next
Sanders
News Network, I'm
couldn't even
French.
speak a word.
Thank you for watching that report. In a time of crisis like the spread of the coronavirus, staying
Completely
prepared
new.
is the most important thing. And a great place to start is storing food in your home. I'm prepared, and I even ordered more to protect my family. The only way, though, to not get caught up in the chaos is to have a plan, one that allows you to avoid dealing with empty store shelves, long lines, and in the worst case, desperate people. Now, the experts at My Patriot Supply have told me that orders have now reached about 100 times their normal volume, and they are shipping on a first-come, first-served basis. So I urge you to add your order to mine today. Take action so you are ready for what's coming. You can save $70 on a 2-week emergency food kit when you go to my special website. It is linked down below, preparewithgary.com. Do not wait any longer. Go to preparewithgary.com and get your order in right now. We'll see you at the next report. For the Next News Network, I'm Gary Franchi. Thanks for watching the Next News
Let's go to the
Network.
next one.
Tap here to subscribe to the channel to get the latest news and alerts. Tap here to watch our latest.
Let's see the next one. I want to put this guy with. There's so many videos, so many good videos. I don't even know which one to put on. But let me see how long this one lasts. Louder with Proud is another great source. Okay, so
This is something else. I was watching the press briefing last night, and some reporter, talk about a leading question, asks Donald Trump, he says, well, how are people going to deal with the new normal? For example, at a stadium, if they have 100,000 seats, it'll have to be 60. He goes, no, excuse me, there's not going to be a new normal. They're going to be back to full seats. People are like, oh my gosh, can you believe this? Do you understand what that would do to people's business?
Yeah.
To cut their profit capabilities by 40% because of the sniffles. I get it's worse than the sniffles. I'm exaggerating to make a point, but I don't really care. I'm not going to apologize anymore. COVID doesn't scare me that much compared to the unemployment and crippling effects. Do you know what would happen to restaurants if they can't allow people to be there? Do you know what happened to colleges?
Right.
Imagine Notre Dame, imagine UT, imagine SMU. Like, oh, you can only have 50% capacity. Right now, sure. But forever? They assume that and this is by design, just like the ABC special, they want to ask that question. So it looks like Donald Trump is fighting against the current by saying, no, eventually we're going to get back to normal. And they want to make that seem like he's an animal. He's right, of course. No one out there, you don't run a business. You must have no idea how thin profit margins are. And people stay up all night with TurboTax for all I know. I don't know what program they use. They have a guy. Bill recommended it.
Right.
People have to take great care in addressing these numbers. You just want to cut it in half?
Well,
you moron.
Yeah, well, the WNBA is actually in favor of this. It would increase attendance. So they're happy for this.
So they have a weed cannon.
Yeah, exactly. Well, do you remember when in 1918 the pandemic killed millions of people around the world, how we banned all public gatherings forever after that point and had no football games and no theater attendance and no restaurants open, and we all just shut down and died?
Right.
You remember? That didn't happen.
I think
millions of people around the world, and we didn't do these things.
The intonation was that you went the opposite of that.
Man, see, sometimes
I see what you were saying there. And the same when people talk about Dr. Fauci. Listen, you don't, when we're talking about a problem that is all-encompassing, and I will say at this point, the economic impact, and by the way, because of the economic impact, it has an even greater toll on the health impact of the country. When you look at suicide, when you look at mental health, when you look at people who are more likely to develop addictions, or people, frankly, who are just more likely to become unhealthy because they're not nearly as active, especially if you're arresting people for going out jogging with their wives in parks. If you are arresting a man for jogging alone on the beach, you are telling people that short of having a home gym, they can't take part in any physical activity.
Yeah.
So this is unreal to me at this point that they want to suggest. Fauci, great. Got it. He's not taking into account any of the economic ramifications.
No.
Just like you wouldn't ask exclusively an economist what we should do for social distancing.
Right.
He's an expert in social distancing. Just like cigars. We've talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
If you ask a doctor, right, and I've asked this to a doctor, okay, don't want to, he goes, never smoke. Got it. What about cigars? What about like a cigar a day or like a couple cigars a week?
Right.
Well, you should never smoke. What are the actual risks of me smoking a couple of cigars a week? You should never smoke. What are the risks? Statistically, there's actually a 0% mortality increase or of any cancers combined. The FDA releases a statement if you have a couple of cigars a week, but you should never smoke. I didn't ask your opinion. I asked the risks so I can make an assessment and make a decision. And right now we have very real numbers, 22 million people filing for unemployment. Yep. I get it. You like the doctor. You like to accuse Republicans of being anti-science, but guess what? We do have to take into account the fact that people have no ability to live at this point.
Right.
So you can't only ask the doctor is what I'm saying.
Right.
You need all different kinds of input. And for some reason, this is the elitism from the left. They mock Donald Trump if he has anyone on his board of reopening the economy. I think Tim Cook's on the board, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. And
why is it that people who are doctors are the only authoritative experts according to the left, but people who've created a business from the ground up and employed potentially dozens, hundreds, there's no merit, there's no added societal value there? God, it's remarkable to me.
I do find that this is an intriguing moment in history.
I will say this, you do both. You do both. He's a lawyer, so you did all the schooling, but you also started your own firm.
I did.
Right?
Yeah.
You could have been a clerk, you could have worked your way up and hoped that you became a partner in a big firm, but you started your own, and how hard was that?
Really hard.
To do by yourself.
It's hard every day. I mean, I was fortunate to work with some good friends to start the firm and to build it up, and to be where we are. And it's a lot of fun to be able to work with people. But I will say right now that the thing is really unique about where we are is normally if you were concerned about the economy and you just were like, I don't want to talk about the prevailing wisdom, you would probably do it at work, you do it at a bar, you do it at church, you do it with your buddies, whatever it may be. But all the normal places that we would talk about those kinds of things about, I don't know if I really believe CNN or Governor Whitmer, all those things. We don't have any of those. Instead, the only place that we're looking right now, by and large, where we're allowed to look, is Facebook and Twitter. And the voices on Facebook and Twitter are predominantly hysterical. And I will tell you, it is actually people in my position who have the ability to work outside their office and don't have to have their workers come in during this time and can relatively still keep their business on that are saying, well, why can't you just stay home? But I will tell you that the vast majority of people on the left and the right, when you actually talk to them right now, are telling you, why aren't we talking about opening the economy? Right. And the reason is because those people are suffering. If you work in hospitality, restaurants, all of those different businesses, and all the businesses that support them. So when you're looking at the news right now, when you're hearing people saying, well, it's very clear, everyone's on board with us keeping shut down until 2028 to kill this coronavirus, it's wrong. It's just flat out wrong.
And you know what?
Okay, I guess that's all. Let me see if I could get something else here because I'm going to get to something that'll be more informative. Like I said, there's so many of them. Chris Cuomo snapped. Let's see what happened to Chris Cuomo. They say he snaps here on CNN, Slams CNN. This is almost, okay, no, it's not too long. Go to my blog. It's over 10 minutes, and I just want to get more that is more important than that. Let me see this one here. Let me see how long this one lasts. Okay, so
Score another win for the
Next News
walk-away
Network.
movement. A black Georgia Democrat waving goodbye to the Democrat Party. Wait till you see who he endorsed. I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with Trump. Before I go further into this report and show you his very revealing video, if you're new to the Next News Network, allow me to welcome you and invite you to subscribe by tapping the red button down below. Just make sure you hit that notification bell. Very important that you do. Brianna Edwards from Essence reports that a Democrat Georgia state representative shook the table on Tuesday when he endorsed President Donald Trump for president. With that move, the Georgia State Representative Vernon Jones became the first elected Democrat in Georgia to give the thumbs up to Trump's second-term run. That's according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And here he is in his own words.
Hello, America. This is Vernon Jones, and I'm a proud member of the Georgia House of Representatives. But I've also been a lifelong Democrat, too. But today, I've announced my support and endorsement of Donald J. Trump's campaign re-election. Now, let me be clear about one thing. I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. But one would say, now, why would a black man support Donald Trump? Well, I would reverse that. Why wouldn't a black man endorse Donald Trump? Isn't he the president that ushered in the lowest unemployment rate among blacks before the pandemic crisis? Isn't he the president that signed the Criminal Justice Reform Act? And finally, isn't he the president that overwhelmingly supported financially historical black colleges in which I am a proud graduate of North Carolina Central University? I 100% support Donald Trump. And I want to call on every patriot, every great American out there across this country, regardless of your race or whatever, gender, orientation. I want to ask all of you, young people, seniors, all in between, join me in re-electing Donald J. Trump as a president, our next president, our re-elected president of the United States. Peace out, America.
Oh, man, that's got to make Democrats freak out. Yep, they are leaving the Democrat Party in droves. The walkaway movement, very influential, and it's beautiful to see Vernon Jones taking that first step. We hope and pray that more will follow him. Now, they state here that according to AJC, this is not the first time that Jones, a longtime politician, has sided with Republicans, often doing so in the past 4 years or so since returning to the state legislature after serving as the DeKalb County CEO for 2 terms and several failed bids for other political offices. They state here, for the most part, Jones remains unbothered by his Democrat colleagues' opinions of him. Quote, a philosopher once said, "One courageous man in the crowd is a majority. I've got the courage to express my convictions," he said, and I believe that Donald J. Trump is the best person to lead this country moving forward. Well, we stand with you, Mr. Jones. Comment below. We'll see you at the next report for the Next News Network. I'm Gary Franchi.
Let me see if I can find, I think I got a video here, because just came out a little notice here that Democrats break with Pelosi. And I think I got a video on that one, so let me see if I can find it. Oh, there's so many great news here. MLB legend Goosage comes out swinging for Trump, bashing Democrats. This week, Democrats say, don't go to church. Democrats are the Antichrist. They're Antichrist, they're anti-Constitution, they're anti-American, they're anti-everything that's good about our nation and what's good for the nation. Wow, there's so many news here. I just really don't know how to. Okay, let me get this one here. Oh, Dr. Stevens. Oh, wow, this guy's great. But it lasts long, but it's worth it.
Viktor Orban is absolutely
That'll probably be the last one I want to do for
liberalism,
today.
and this is coming from leftist liberals. They're in an utter panic that they're becoming an endangered species in nationalist populist Hungary. So we're going to take a look at the latest measures taken by the Orban government that's doing nothing less than ensuring the gradual extinction of left-wing liberalism from within their nation. I think you're going to absolutely love it. But first, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's BioTrust Collagen. You know, many health experts now agree that consuming collagen is as crucial as it gets to renew and revitalizing how you look and feel. It's being touted really as the greatest supplement to ever hit the market. It can do wonders for reducing wrinkles, strengthening hair and nails, supporting healthy pain-free joints, reducing cellulite, boosting metabolism, dropping those unwanted pounds. Now, I encourage you to watch the free video at my site, healthwithsteveturley.com, or simply click on the link below to learn about how to go about choosing the right collagen for you and the proper way to use it. And that's healthwithsteveturley.com. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. You're going to love it. I'm sure many of you are familiar by now with the outcries and the hysterics coming from the corners of our increasingly shrinking globalist elites regarding the special powers that have been granted to the nationalist populist Prime Minister Viktor Orban by the Hungarian parliament to deal with the coronavirus pandemic. The so-called coronavirus protection law authorizes the Orban government to take any and all measures deemed necessary to deal with the pandemic until the state of emergency has passed. And perhaps most controversially, this involves decretal powers by the Prime Minister, where Orban can respond to the virus by measures invoked by decree without any parliamentary vote. It's what we would consider a kind of wartime power authorized for the Prime Minister. Now, you would think that given the threat of the virus, such a measure would be relatively straightforward. But the international outcry has accused Prime Minister Orban of becoming a de facto dictator. At the very beginning of this, there were actually leftist globalists out there that were claiming that the Hungarian parliament had been suspended and that they got rid of any future elections, which turned out to be a total lie. The Hungarian parliament has, in fact, not been suspended, especially given the fact that Orban's political party, the Fidesz party, has a supermajority in the parliament. So why on earth would the prime minister suspend a parliament where his own political party has over 2/3 of the seats? They own the parliament, for heaven's sake. Moreover, the Hungarian parliament has the right to suspend these temporary powers that they've given to the prime minister anytime they see fit. So there are clear checks and balances still in place here. Nevertheless, the fact that Orban has gotten so much power has caused consternation among our globalist elite. And one of the cries of hysterics that turns out to be very, very true is just how effectively Orban is crushing left-wing liberalism in Hungary. Now, one of the latest panic pieces to come out was featured on the ultra-left website Jacobin.com, and it's entitled, "Viktor Orban is using the coronavirus emergency to crush minorities." Now, anytime you hear that term, minorities, from leftist corners, it is always referring to some kind of cultural Marxism. Always. It's technically referred to in the scholarly literature as emancipatory politics, okay? Emancipatory politics is a globalist-inspired leftist political idea that re-envisions the state as a grand liberator of people groups who are now considered to have been otherwise disenfranchised from the political process. And so what proponents of emancipatory politics deliberately try to do is to dismantle, indeed destroy, the dominant culture that has characterized the nation for centuries in order to replace it with a new culture of the aggrieved, an amalgamation of constantly reinvented minorities, all of whom claim some kind of discrimination and oppression from the majority culture and therefore needs to be destroyed. Now, obviously, emancipatory politics stands in stark contrast to nationalist politics, what we call here on this channel simply nationalist populism. Nationalist populist politics all have in common
a mutual commitment in reasserting their respective national sovereignties through strict border security, economic nationalist policies, and the revitalization of their respective civic and religious traditions and customs. All nationalist populist governments are in the process of in some way destroying globalist cultural Marxist tendencies and policies, all the while reaffirming the cultures, customs, and traditions that have comprised their respective national identities for centuries. And that is what these leftist liberal pundits are so horrified over with the Orban administration in Hungary. As they are readily admitting, Viktor Orban is effectively destroying leftist liberalism from within his borders. First and foremost, Orban has threatened to imprison any so-called journalist guilty of spreading fake news. Now, what he seems to be doing here is responding to the ineptitude of the legal system to hold left-wing activists disguised as journalists accountable for their blatant anti-conservative cultural Marxist bias, which, as we've seen in the United States, has just gone into hyperdrive since the coronavirus pandemic. Just think of the absurd antics of CNN's Jim Acosta and his comrades in the media, who've turned out to be far more akin to hecklers than reporters during the coronavirus press briefings. Orban is he's not even remotely tolerating any such nonsense. Hungary is in effect declaring itself a fake news free nation. Secondly, and as we reported in an earlier video, Orban's nationalist populist government is actually indeed in the process of taking over the arts and fumigating any trace of cultural Marxism from them. In fact, Orban sees the revitalization of the arts as central to a revitalized Christian Hungary. An interesting side note here is that Hungary's government spends more on culture and the arts than almost any other nation in Europe in terms of its gross domestic product. Hungary spends about 3.5% of its GDP on the arts. Most European nations, about 1%. So the Orban government is taking the role of recovering Hungary's culture very, very seriously and has announced that they're setting up a national cultural council headed by a government minister and with the task of setting priorities and directions to be followed in Hungarian culture with the revitalization of Christian culture. And the important point here is that the minister would have a role in hiring and firing particularly theater directors at institutions that receive state funds. Now, of course, if this were done by a secular globalist left-wing government expressly to kick out the last vestiges of the influence of the Christian church over the theater, left-wing liberals would be applauding such a move. They'd be celebrating the triumph of artistic freedom of expression, even though it would be the exact same thing. If they saw a state minister come in and fire, say, Catholic bishops and conservative theater directors, they'd be all for it. But because this is a thoroughly traditionalist and nationalist effort, it's the opposite. Well, then this is nothing short of the greatest assault on artistic independence and creativity and freedom the world has ever seen. Nonsense. As we pointed out in an earlier video precisely on this topic, the great Nobel laureate Alexander Solzhenitsyn believed that all artists were under a moral obligation to reveal to humanity the true, the good, and the beautiful, so as to awaken our loves and desires and draw them into eternal and divine life, and thus realize humanity's highest flourishing and aspirations. This is the responsibility of the artist. This is what true freedom is, the capacity to fulfill their divine obligation to awaken within the human person the most laudable and excellent and praiseworthy attributes of our humanity, and thus realize what it means to be most truly human. And Solzhenitsyn was very, very clear on this. Western artists, in selling their souls to left-wing liberalism, had by and large abdicated this sacred responsibility. There's nothing freeing here in abdicating the responsibility of awakening humanity's most noble and lovely and praiseworthy virtues. And that is precisely what Viktor Orban is seeking to revitalize throughout the aesthetic life of Hungary. So that's the second major way in which he's crushing left-wing liberalism. And thirdly, as lamented by this article on the Jacobin.com, Orban has approved of legislation that would force transgender people to have to affirm the same gender as designated on their birth certificates, as well as a complete and total ban on so-called gender reassignment therapy and surgery altogether in Hungary. Now, this ban on transgenderism is on the heels of the Orban government's massive pro-life efforts at reversing Hungary's devastating demographic decline, which, as our last video reported, has been enormously successful because of the pro-life measures taken by this government here in Hungary. Marriage rates are the highest they've been in 40 years. Birth rates are the highest they've been in 20 years. All the while, divorce rates have dropped dramatically. So everywhere you look in Hungary, it really does appear as if secular leftist liberalism is being destroyed, crushed under the enormous weight of renewed conservative civilization. God bless Viktor Orban. Now, before you go, you definitely want to check out the video I just uploaded on Nancy Pelosi's Marie Antoinette moment. She absolutely embarrasses herself on national television. And let's just say you're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.
Well, that's it. Dr. Stevens is just a great source of news. Let me see that. Well, let's just, let me see if there's anything else I can. There's a lot. Like I say, go to my blog and you're going to see a lot of information here. Okay, I want to put this one on Pelosi. I just love to see her panic.
Well, this is interesting. Nancy Pelosi in panic mode, deleting the most damning video she's ever published. Then seconds later, Team Trump makes her regret it. Wait till you see this. A quick note, though, if this is your first time watching the Next News Network, allow me to welcome you and invite you to join the over 1.3 million people who call Next News their home for conservative news and opinion by tapping the red subscription button down below. Just make sure you hit that notification bell. This story from Christina Layla at the Gateway Pundit. She reports that the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi deleted a video of herself walking around Chinatown on February 24th, downplaying the coronavirus. Yes, I contacted Christina and she told me that she deleted it off Twitter. Pelosi walked around Chinatown in San Francisco on February 24th after coronavirus cases had already been confirmed in the United States, prompting President Trump to restrict flights from China. Of course, they called that racist. President Trump blasted Pelosi for walking around Chinatown, encouraging people to shop and eat there a month after he restricted incoming flights from China. Well, she freaked out and deleted the video of her saying, we do want to say to people, come to Chinatown, here we are, come join us. Yeah. Well, Team Trump decided to put out a video, and here it is.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi told me she came here to Chinatown to combat fear.
That's what we're trying to do today, is to say everything is fine here because precautions have been taken. The city is on top of the situation.
She has been going around to show that it is perfectly safe to be here.
We do want to say to people, come to Chinatown. Here we are. We're, again, careful, safe, and come join us. We just want to invite you not to be afraid to come to Chinatown. It's
Thank you so much.
Yeah, come to Chinatown, all is well. Yeah. Fears of the coronavirus are unwarranted, quote, in light of the precautions that are being taken here in the United States. That's what she said. It's unreal. So she's going to criticize President Trump. Meanwhile, she's going into the street. But thankfully, the internet is forever. The Trump campaign blasting nervous Nancy, saying she doesn't want Americans to see what she said then. Let's take a look at another take.
It's exciting to be here, especially at this time, to be able to be unified with our community. We want to be vigilant about what it might be on what is out there in other places. We want to be careful about how we deal with it, but we do want to say to people, come to Chinatown. Here we are. we're, again, careful, safe, and come join us.
Wow. Unbelievable. Thankfully, Brad Parscale at the Trump campaign put this out. It seems nervous Nancy Pelosi has deleted the video of herself in Chinatown on February 24th, saying that fears of the coronavirus were unwarranted and led to precautions that are being taken here in the United States. She doesn't want Americans to see what she said then. So you know what we do, folks? We share this video. Let everyone in America know exactly what Nancy Pelosi was doing on February 24th when the president was busy protecting this country. She was directly putting people in harm's way. Comment below. We'll see you at the next report. For the Next News Network, I'm Gary Franchi. Thank you for watching that report. You know, security warnings were published by the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency for companies and IT staffers to set up systems to enable security against outside threats. So now it's time to take their advice. Due to the recent pandemic of COVID-19, Virtual Shield wants to extend a customer appreciation month to everyone and offer 50% off all VPN plans and all premium add-ons, including Protection Plus, Residential Access, and VIP Performance plans for as low as a cost of a cup of coffee. So sign up today for a free 30-day trial to Virtual Shield VPN.
Let's put another one. There's so many great news. It's just, I don't get tired of it. Wow, there's even more. Let's see if we can put one more smack down. Wow, there's so much. It's so much. I don't know. Like I say, I'm gonna try. Okay, I'm gonna put the interview with Roger Stone. I wanted to put that one. To me, it's just a must. This one I think is short. Yeah, it's very short.
You may have noticed a creepy porn lawyer just got out of jail. Michael Cohen just got out of jail. Across the country, they're letting rapists, people who attack children, out of jail. One person who's on his way to jail, maybe the only one in America, is Roger Stone. 2 weeks he'll be sentenced for the rest of his useful adult life. His crime supporting Donald Trump. How does he feel about that? He joins us now to explain. Roger Stone, thanks so much for coming on. I'll just get right to it. I'm a little bit confused by why, with all the pardons going around, everyone I've ever met has been pardoned. You haven't been, by a White House that has done a lot to push criminal justice reform and let a lot of really bad people out of jail in the name of humanitarian concerns, but you're not in that category. Why is that, do you think?
Well, I really don't know, Tucker. I was very hopeful that the motion for a mistrial in my case, based on flagrant and blatant, even egregious juror misconduct, would have won me a new trial. The U.S. Supreme Court's been very clear that all defendants are entitled to a jury that is impartial and indifferent. But in this case, it is undisputable that the jury forewoman attacked both me and President Trump in 2019 social media postings, lied about that during jury selection, and then later deleted her Facebook page to cover her trails. In this case, legal authorities as diverse as Judge Andrew Napolitano and Professor John Turley have both said that I should be entitled to a new trial. But that is not the case. So at this point, the judge has ordered me to surrender in 2 weeks. And at 67 years old, with some underlying health problems, including a history of asthma, I believe with the coronavirus, it is essentially a death sentence.
Well, of course it is. They've already destroyed your life. It's the most corrupt political criminal justice proceeding I've ever seen. Bob Dylan should be writing a song about you. And yet you can't get a pardon because your crime was worse than raping someone you supported Trump. Are you bitter?
I'm not, but I would like, I'm glad after 16 months of being gagged to finally at least be able to defend myself. Tucker, I wasn't prosecuted because I was covering anything up for the president. I was prosecuted because I refused to bear false witness against the president. I refused to dissemble, as the prosecutors wanted, about numerous phone calls between myself and candidate Trump in 2016. So at this juncture, I am praying for justice. I am praying for mercy. But I've got to be honest with you, it's in God's hands. After meeting and praying with Reverend Franklin Graham some months ago, I have reacquainted myself with my Catholic faith, my Christian faith, and I'm praying for the very best.
Oh, finished. Wow, that was quick. Let's see how long this one lasts.
Another
Okay, this
reminder
one
that
is
the
short
media
too.
is not on your side, and they do put themselves as an adversary to the American people. The Washington Post tweeted about a reverend or a pastor that claimed that God was bigger than the coronavirus, and they seemingly gleefully tweeted that he had died. So the Washington Post tweeted this: prominent Virginia pastor who said God is larger than this dreaded virus dies of COVID-19. So obviously what they're trying to depict for you in that tweet is the irony in a person of faith, someone who puts their faith in God dying. That's what they're trying to demonstrate. They've got a little tongue in cheek there. They've got a little smirk as they're writing this tweet about this Virginia pastor dying who said that God is bigger than the coronavirus. What they're trying to say is that, he has been proved wrong. And you people of faith who think that God is in control of all of this, when you end up dying, we're going to laugh at you too. But they're so secular and stupid that they don't understand that this pastor dying of the coronavirus doesn't actually undermine what he said. It doesn't actually discount the fact that God is bigger than the coronavirus. And if they had any scintilla of wisdom or biblical knowledge or theological savvy at all, they would understand that someone dying of the coronavirus doesn't undermine their faith in God, that we understand that people die every day. People of faith die of cancer every day. They die of all kinds of diseases and sicknesses and of natural disasters. That doesn't mean that we think that God is not sovereign, that he's not good, that he's not in control, because for the Christian, dying isn't the worst thing that can happen to you. We still believe, even if millions of people died from the coronavirus, that doesn't mean that God isn't bigger than the coronavirus. Of course he is. Of course, maybe you should listen to some of my podcasts, The Washington Post, and you would understand a little bit about the sovereignty of God, instead of subtly laughing at the fact that a person of faith has died from the coronavirus. Maybe you could have just a shred of decency for just a second. But unfortunately, there has been an uptick in persecution against Christians, not just online, but also in person. There was a church recently that they tried to gather for just a drive-in service, and there were nails all over the parking lot and in the entrance to the church, because people apparently think that this is a good time to drive even more hate against people of faith. Oh man, it's a crazy time that we're living in, but I just wanted to make sure that you were updated on that. We've been taking a break, trying to give you a little bit of a reprieve from all of the crazy stuff that's been going on, but I just wanted to, I just had to lay this all out there because it's driving me crazy.
We finish this here, no? Let me see, there's another one here I can consider. I think this is going to be the last one, but let's just see. Let's see how long this one lasts. This one is short too.
Joe Biden's campaign
just made it easier for everyone to make fun of his presidential run.
This will be the last one.
Welcome back to the Next News Network. Please tap that red button to subscribe and turn on the bell to receive our notifications every day. Julio Rosas from Town Hall reports, the last remaining Democratic presidential candidate, Joe Biden's website, makes it easy for supporters to make their own paragraph endorsing the former vice president. However, it also makes it easy for critics and internet hooligans to create memes mocking him. A page on the website has it so people can upload their own photos and download a graphic that reads, "I'm on Team Joe." Sad place to be, in fact. Of course, with a custom picture alongside of it. And as a result, many Twitter users decided to make their own versions that lampooned Biden. These images are exactly what we're talking about. Now, Twitter users mocked Biden's soft stance on China, Hunter Biden, the media's obvious bias for candidates, his many verbal gaffes and gaffes he's made on camera since suspending his activities on the campaign trail during the CV crisis. Now, of course, Joe Biden, who can barely speak English even though it's his first language, and can hardly communicate even though he's been communicating for many years, seems to be going through something much more problematic. Now, of course, I can't insinuate anything conspiratorial, but I can say that by the looks of the way that he continues to fall apart and become decrepit, he's definitely suffering from some sort of problem. And if it's not dementia, it's definitely his policies, which are bad for this country. My name is Elijah Schaefer. Thank you so much again for watching. Please share these reports with your friends and family. May God bless the United States of America.
Well, this is shorter than the other one.
Thank you for watching that report. You know, in a time of crisis like the spread of the coronavirus, staying prepared is the most important thing. And a great place to start is storing food in your home. I'm prepared, and I
Okay, this will be it for today. Donald Trump, like I always say, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless Mike Pence and his family. I always say, God bless the United States eternally. When I pray, I also pray for Israel. I always say I stand with God and Israel eternally. Plus, I'm requesting to God the freedom as quick as possible of Cuba. Has been under this communist dictatorship, criminal communist dictatorship, narco regime for over 61 years. These people are criminals. I hope, like there's hope for what's happening in Venezuela with the Sixth Fleet over there and part of the army. I hope it could be liberated as soon as possible, Venezuela, but then remember, don't forget Cuba. I also pray for the freedom of Nicaragua, North Korea, and China, and Vietnam from this hellish precept of socialism. It's nothing but a criminal syndicate run by criminals and people that are evil. Just like we got in the United States, Bernie Sanders, and almost the whole, what used to be the Democrat Party, which is now taken over by the CPUSA and Islamic terrorists. So God bless you all. See you next time. Bye-bye.